Live.
It's like that's the longest 2 minutes in your life when you're sitting there waiting for it to be live.
Yeah, we should probably figure out something. There's other ways I could do it where like you and I at least know what's going on. Well, at least you would
I'm
know
just saying
it.
I'm just saying just for me, like,
Yeah.
you're sitting there.
No, I know. I want to make it like there's ways to probably make it more transparent. um, but cool. All right. Just give us a second. We'll get right in to today's episode. Make sure everything is good. Welcome anyone coming in. Um,
Yeah, right. Getting it all set up. I want to say loving the new background. Makes me feel all professional, like I'm in some kind of studio.
yeah, it's great. Definitely do this from now on. Okay, let me just do a quick little adjustment and then we will get started here. Center you up a little bit. Good. Okay. All right. Here's some kind of echo. I don't know if that's a setting you did. But cool. Sounds good now. All right. Welcome everyone. Just give me a second. Sorry, I'm just warming up right now. I'm gonna start in a minute. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Cool. So yeah, welcome back to the Think Tank Live podcast. At Think, we streamline democracy so you can vote for you. Every week, we break down what's happening in politics using one simple lens, the up-down lens known as digital politics. It's not about left, not right, just representation. Up means power first, while down means people first. It helps all of us see the real patterns behind the shutdowns, donor deals, and the stories that never get explained clearly. Think of Think as your civic utility. We're plugging citizens, trusted journalists, and underdog candidates into one coordinated hub. So together we can use today's rules differently and start building digital democracy, which is the future home for American politics. Our goal was around one thing: better choices, better outcomes, and one fair system where every candidate is seen and every citizen is heard. If you want to help shape what comes next, join our newsletter to get notified. Our digital politics hub goes live in the next couple of weeks, where you'll be able to select the voices you trust, amplify people first efforts, and help shape the future of politics. So before we dive in, just tap the heart. Engage the chat if you have any questions or comments. We're engaging everyone on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. Follow us. We were trying to get our numbers up, spread awareness, and grow this movement. And like, share, all that good stuff. All right, yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, thanks for having me today. I'm always happy to fill in for Liz when she takes a day off. I do want to kind of jump back into what she was talking about yesterday, or what you all guys were talking about yesterday about, it's Thanksgiving. We're going to have to be dealing with our families and having, the inevitable political talk with somebody. And it made me laugh because, like, most of the time when you think about that, everybody thinks, oh, it's because you're going to argue with the family member who is not in your party, or, somebody like that. But in my case, I find that I end up having arguments with people who are, aligned with me, or, in the same party as I am. And I just wanted to call that out, that, that happens too. And that's still something that, we can use this up-down lens to make it not an argument, but a discussion, and like maybe open their eyes to something that they haven't seen before.
Yeah, great point. Super great point, actually. Yeah, so even in my own experience, you're absolutely right. It's easy enough to say like all the negative of the other party, but to try to address that your own party is not perfect. Yeah, people are so kind of stuck in that duality, and stuck that, oh, I have to defend everything my side is doing against the other side. So you're right, that is a challenge in itself. Kind of.
Yeah, especially for somebody like me who's kind of more of the middle ground. And, I grew up with grandparents who are hard right. They're always going to be right. They don't ever want to hear anything bad about that side. And they listen to every ridiculous thing they hear on, I don't want to say Newsmax, but I can't remember the guy who was on Fox News and now he's not. And my grandma listens to him. Like everything he says is gospel. And I'm like, Grandma, calm down. Put some logic to this, what he's saying. Like, are you hearing this anywhere else? Are you sure that it wasn't taken out of context? And of course, he's always going to talk about the other side as opposed to what your side doing, because your side is still doing bad stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that really is the hardest challenge in our mission so far, is helping people understand that it's not just the other party at fault, that we need to look at the system and what both the leaders on both sides are doing, not the voters necessarily, but it's the leaders. And we need to stop blindly trusting our side, that, oh, just because they're my party, I don't need to check them, they're good, let them do whatever. Like, we need to learn that, unfortunately, it's more complicated than that. And but yeah, you're absolutely right. It's you could it's so easy to convince people that the other side needs fixing, but to say that both of them need some major changes is definitely a challenge.
Yeah, it's almost just as hard, if not harder, to convince your side of different things. And a lot of it too is social issues because, like I said, I'm more of the middle ground and I feel like they're really hardcore about certain things. And even then, I feel like they don't understand where the Republican Party actually stands on these issues because, like, let's say there's someone who's against gay marriage or, same-sex marriage in general. I'm like, wait, that doesn't really align with what the Republican Party in a whole is actually putting out there. And, like, I don't want them to go around being this bad person and saying things that make me look bad because they're my family. So I'm like, here, it's like trying to save your soul type stuff. And it does get dicey. And sometimes you have to decide it's not worth the fight and maybe just, smile and nod and be like, all right, yeah, let you believe what you're going to believe.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Very true. Yeah, I talked. My mom always fears like the gay marriage thing. So like, because we have a lot of gay marriage in the family and whatnot. But yeah, the Republic, it used to be that Republicans stood for anti-gay, and there's definitely a large percentage that's in there. But like, to your point, like, Trump doesn't seem to go after that specifically. And that's another issue in itself, of just like, when these parties change, it's hard for like people to get that like they see it how they've always seen it. And like, parties are supposed to evolve over time, they always used to. Like, both parties are not anything like they started. They've even to some extent switched places to some extent, like, I don't know, 100 years or so ago. So that is another issue, is that as these parties evolve, some people still see it as what they used to be, and it's hard to be clear on that kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember we did a post about that, or there's one of our social posts we had looked, that was like part of the research. And that was something where I hadn't really realized the extent of it, but that is something that, people don't realize is that they do change over time. And usually it's for the better. And I feel like, that stance in that party was for the better. And that's kind of where that was one of my major things that I didn't like about that party. And now that they've, softened on that and they're like, okay, it's like people can be people, whatever you do, as long as we're all consenting adults, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're absolutely right. So, I mean, part of what we're trying to build, the digital democracy, and the future system that we envision, it'd be clear that, like, as a party changes, kind of like their official platform, like, I guess I would envision, for those that are new to what we're talking about, digital democracy is going to end up where every candidate has their own profile, but then also each party would kind of have their own profile and what they stand for. So I would envision we would have some kind of algorithm and system that, as a party starts shifting their overall policies, it kind of averages in the overall, like, summary of their party. because you're absolutely right. Like, the gay rights thing has really softened on that side, and it's again, just as these things change, people, it's the more complex things are, people always tend to oversimplify everything in life. We all do it. A cognitive bias. But our goal is to systematize that, make it more official, make it more easy to understand, see the change in action in real time, essentially. So what we're building or working towards, digital democracy, would be able to kind of show that in real time, how each party is changing, what they're moving towards, what are they leaving from. um so then that would make it easier for ourselves to engage with people, be like, no, look, the party, they're moving this way, they're moving that way, and like you could have it like right on an app or something.
Yeah. I was going to say another good example of that is something we talked about yesterday, or not yesterday, last week, was, like hemp, or, marijuana in general, cannabis. Like, the right used to be super, super against it, but I know many long-term Republicans who now are like, well, they've changed their tune on it. So like, that's just another great example about how, you can change your opinion over time. And we just, need to keep up with that and hopefully make sure that the changes are good as opposed to changing for the bad. Like, I feel like we're changing a lot for the good, and we just need to keep that momentum going.
Yeah, and like, with all things, there could be bad changes and good changes. Like all the things that us, I think, are trying to overcome, like the money and politics type stuff, is the bad changes. But then and on both sides. But yeah, and then that is definitely because that's definitely a good example, like you're saying. The marijuana legislation stuff. Yeah, I agree. It's I mean, that's one of the things, like, a lot of these issues now, like, because the majority of all Americans agree on a certain issue, it makes it that both parties are kind of on that same side. So like the marijuana thing, the gay marriage, a lot of social issues are in a different place than they used to be, and most people don't know that it's changed that much, and that's also part of the problem, is being clear on where does everyone stand these days. So it is hard, it's complicated, and so that's the biggest problem with people knowing where things stand today, how have they changed since before, and things like that. Sorry, I'm a little distracted right now. Go ahead.
I was going to say another thing that I just wanted to, call out and bring up, because just from my own personal experience, I know a lot of these, holiday political conversations usually center around the president. And, if you like him or hate him, depending on, who's in office at the moment, I think we should challenge ourselves to bring it down to local representatives. Like, those are the people who make long-term decisions. The president can only last, 4 years, maybe 8 at the most. Like, they're flash in the pan compared to these people who have been in, Congress or Senate for 50 years. So, try and push the conversation that way. Be like, okay, let's look at who is representing us here. Are they representing us, or are they only going towards their donors and doing these things? Like, put that lens of digital politics on that conversation and steer people towards the longer term goal. Because like I said, presidents come and go really quick. Makes no difference when this one person's been in office for 50 years.
Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, we do overgeneralize and just focus on the presidency. But yeah, to your point, I mean, there's so many other seats. Even just federal alone, like 530 other seats, and then there's 500,000 elected officials from state, local, and federal combined. So there's a lot of other things going on, to your point, than just just at the top. And
I mean,
so
I'd like to see a family gathered around and be like, all right, what politician promised what this time that we all voted for? Let's check and see if they've actually voted towards that goal. Are they, taking donations or PAC money from people that are against what you want and stuff like that? Like, that should be the conversations that we're having versus just, oh, well, orange man bad.
right. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so right now it's hard for people to track all that. So that's, kind of what we're working towards. For like others that I see people keep joining in the chat here. So yeah, basically what we're doing is right now we're going to be launching our coordination hub, digital democracy hub, in a few weeks, and what that's going to do is empower all of us as citizens. We want to really combine do a coordinated effort between political organizations, movements, candidates, journalists, come together and start talking about, like, what would it be, what would the right kind of a digital democracy look like, something that citizens are in control, not big tech, not big, like, the gatekeepers of the parties, but you being actually in control of the next generation of politics. And we have a full vision of what digital democracy looks like at its core, but then we want America to build it with us, keep different work out the different features. How do we work out our differences? How do we keep track of these different issues? How do we keep track of the different candidates and the policies and all that? So our ultimate goal is really to streamline democracy and build a more direct democracy that puts you in more control, kind of brings transparency to the forefront of democracy, and makes it much clearer where everyone stands. You'll be able to pull up a candidate, who's funding their campaign, what are their conflicts of interest, how consistent are they in their promises, where do they stand on their issues. So really digitizing and making it more official, more straightforward, and clear to know where everyone stands. It's one thing that the candidates make their promises. They also give vague promises. It's like, oh, we're going to make the economy better, and better healthcare, better this, better that. Well, how is it going to be better? They kind of tend to leave that part out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, better is, cost less. I can actually get an appointment within 6 months, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't see how they're going to fix that without, you know, having all that special interest money keeping the good ideas down.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the biggest cost is, like, there's something like 20% of the total cost of healthcare goes into, like, administrative costs for, like, hospitals that send it to, like, a million different healthcare insurances, and, like, there's just a lot of, like, bureaucratic bullshit that they have to go through. Some of it's streamlining that. I mean, it's a huge issue. I'm not going to pretend I know all the ways to fix it, but there's just a lot of waste that happens. And so it's both a lot of, like, administrative waste, bureaucratic kind of waste, and then some people are taking huge profits out of the healthcare. So those are all kind of conversations that need to happen. But in order for them to happen the right way, we have to take out those conflicts of interest. We need our candidates to actually look at it objectively, where right now both parties have, like, especially big pharma and healthcare, they have a lot of money in the pockets of both sides to make sure that the system stays to their benefit instead of average Americans' benefit. And so that's part of what we're trying to bring awareness to, of how to fix this. Part of how to fix the system is looking at these conflicts, looking at how there's a concentrated few that influence policy right now, and that it should be the average American who's influencing these candidates. Like, that's what representation is, instead of, like, who's giving them the most money.
Yeah, and we see that all over, because I remember when, like, Doge was going through everything and they were talking about, like, money being spent, like, we give $1 billion for research on something and, like, 60% of it goes to administrative costs. It's like, how is that possible? And these people are getting paid, 6 figures a year, $200,000, something ridiculous. It's like, okay, like, do you really have to pay them that much? Are they even necessary? I mean, we found a lot of these positions aren't even necessary. They're just cushy jobs. And that's, there's waste all over. But if we start cleaning up one area, I feel like it will start transferring over into other areas, because they'll see, oh, they're coming for you. Transparency is hip now, so we better watch out.
Yeah. It's so true. This is where, like, the issue is not left versus right. It's more complex than that. It's about streamlining the processes. certain regulations are important, certain processes are important, but there's so many redundancies these days. A lot of what happens, like laws, for example, when they come up with new laws, they're supposed to like retire old laws. It's like the Sunset Act. And they don't do that. They're like, we'll figure it out later. We'll just shove this law on top of that other law. And it's like, no, that makes it harder for lawyers. It makes it harder administratively. It makes it harder for the private industry, public. It hurts everyone. So it's like
That
that.
reminds me of a video I saw. It was like a Senate hearing, and it was this guy just talking about ridiculous laws, like it's illegal to sell Swiss cheese without holes, things like that. And it's like it's ridiculous. So it's so many tentacles of what's wrong, and that's where the fix isn't just one problem, and that's why digital politics is so important, because it's not just a one trick pony. It's meant to address all of these things. It's just it's going to take a little bit of time and a mindset shift, but we will get there if we start embracing this and thinking this kind of way. Like we need to be represented, not big money.
Yeah, and like we talk about all the time. So digital politics is a new lens for politics. It doesn't tell you to change left versus right, but it adds this other way of looking at things, really from a system point of view, and really moving towards both being more aware of like who's influencing these legislations aside from left versus right, who it's the money interests, special interests that are influencing it, but also the complexity of these issues. So like on the left, they would say, oh, well, we don't want to cut this stuff. We need regulations. We need social programs. We need this. We need that. And it's like, and then the right, the oversimplified right would say, no, we want to just cut it all. It's not efficient. Government's not efficient. Let's just cut it all. But like the true integrated approach is like, well, some of this is necessary, but it's right now there's redundancies and bureaucracy and just like too many hoops to have to jump through. And so the combined effort would be streamlining that, but then like figuring out what should be there, what shouldn't be there, streamline what should still be there. I mean, all of it basically, even if things need to stay, like if we think morally they need to be there or for whatever reason need to be there, they still need to be like reformed. Everything needs to be reformed at this stage because we're at the digital age. There's all these laws on top of laws. There's all these redundancies. There's just like, it's just such a mess in the system, and they've been like basically procrastinating, saying, oh, we'll fix it one day, just pile new shit on top. And it's like, well, now we're coming to that point where it needs to be cleaned out. I mean, that is kind of what Dodge is there for, whether people agree with it or not, that's the intention of it. I'm not here to say it's working in the way that people would want it to work, but that is what it's meant to do. So even if America swings a different way, like at its core, it's correct that there needs to be some kind of gutting, streamlining, digitizing, modernizing. Like we need to make things more efficient, and like there's a lot of costs that could be cut. Like to your point about like you could see all these different stats that like so much money gets wasted for administration, and like I mean, why are we like mailing things like in the paper mail when things should be all digital? Like there's just so many things that need to be upgraded and modernized. And, so it's going to take more than just like thinking left, thinking right. And it also takes more than like, don't let the special interests and those with the most money be the ones that are, shaping those changes.
Yeah, so I guess bottom line when it comes to talking politics with family this holiday season, just boil it down to let's look at records and not just repeat and rhetoric, repeat and listen to rhetoric and that kind of stuff, do some investigating, dig into why you like that person versus, like I said, it's more than just orange man bad. Let's dive into that. Like, you never know. You may end up changing one of your family members' minds if you approach it the right way, because nobody listens when you just come up and start with this attitude. And, like I said, that you start saying, orange man bad, and people are like, they just write you off. But if you say, okay, I don't like this voting record. I don't like this. This is something he promised. This is what he did. This is why, I don't like him. Bring it down to facts, not baloney. I want to say a cuss word, but
Yeah, and back to that the Thanksgiving topic. Like another thing that we talk about is that if if you go to Thanksgiving dinner and talk about the system itself, avoid, obviously avoid political name, party specific blame, but like if you're more general about the problems that are going on in a certain way, people will agree with you. Like a lot, I like one of the talking points you were setting up, Carrie, for this episode about we'd fight a lot less if we focus on how we select our leaders and not just specifically the policies, because we're gonna, right now the policies are like the same policies since like the 60s, so we're gonna fight over like this choice or that choice when there could be newer choices right now. So like let's move that aside for a minute. Let's talk about the system itself, the candidate selection process. How are we deciding who we vote for? Aside from voting D down the line or R down the line, like why are we not participating in the primary? Why is it so hard to even look up a candidate? And like that's what we need to improve. We need to make it easier to know who you want to vote for. Right now it's such a big battle to know like where do these people stand, and that's why people just default to like, oh, D or R, and that's all I know. And it's like we need to make it easier to be more intricate in our decision making.
I think it's a great unifying goal, considering, on the heels of the Democrats, where they just had their, their candidate installed after the other one dropped out, and the Republicans are going to have to be picking somebody new because Trump can't run for the next presidential election. So like if we all join forces and say, we want to make sure we are able to pick good candidates next time, that's a good unifying goal for us to work towards the next few years. That has nothing to do with, party in general. We just want to be able to pick people that we like and that we know we have records of and stuff like that, versus just random people being installed.
Yeah. So to your point, like, at the core of digital politics, it's about electing better leaders. So that's better Democrats, better Republicans, maybe better even third parties, independents slowly. But like that's something that we could all agree on, is that we need better candidates. The approval ratings on both sides are record lows in the last like decade or less. Trust in government, all-time low, trust in media, like all these things are super low. So one thing that we can all agree on is that we all want better leaders. We all want more representation. We all feel that the system isn't working as designed. And so that is the unifying goal. That is what that's what we're trying to bring to the forefront at Think, is that is like if we just focus on that, fixing the system, making it more representative, bringing more transparency to the system, accountability with our government when they don't do what they promise. That's what we're talking about here. And that is something that does not have sides. There's not a Democrat or Republican side to that. That's just, improving democracy. Most Americans will agree that money shouldn't dictate politics and have endless money, being able to a corporation shouldn't be able to contribute endless money, and stock market insider trading in Washington, and possibly term limits. That's a little bit debated, but not a heated debated argument, a legit argument to talk through. So there's just all these issues where it wouldn't be heated. It's not something that people are gonna fight over, and it would just deeply lower the tension. If people felt more represented, they felt like all candidates are improving. Imagine if you knew that like your party's improving, but also the other side's improving. So now it's not as desperate of like, oh my God, if I don't get my candidate, the world's gonna suffer. You felt like, all right, well, at least both sides are improving, all sides are improving. Even when you lose, the stakes won't feel as high. Right now, people feel like the stakes are extremely high when you lose, and that's part of the increased tension of today. So, both sides are agreeing and finding, and we have this unified goal to improve how we select candidates. Again, it could really be very healing for the division in this country right now.
Well, there's like, in essence, the main mindset shift that's like, you're talking about, we should want the other side to improve, like whether it's good or bad for us, like, rising tide raises all ships. Like we want all aspects of our political system to be better. So you shouldn't fear them improving as long as you're improving too, because then you're the one getting left behind. So focus on yourself and improving yourself and your party, and hopefully they catch up or on the same line with you. But if they see you succeeding, they're going to say, oh, we need to do something about this. But that perfectly transitions me into the next thing, because I went to the store the other day and they already have Christmas stuff up, and I think we all joke about that, like, Christmas comes earlier and earlier every year. You see things in July, like Halloween. They had taken all the Halloween candy down before Halloween. I'm like, wait, I wanted my sales. But they just passed right over that, and it does seem that the political money-making machine is always on that rampage. Like, we say it comes earlier every year, but it's like at this point it doesn't even end. And I started looking at things and just looking at, like, they're already raising money for the 2026 elections. Like, they started at the beginning of this year and probably even at the end of 2024. And I think, we need to have that long-term mindset, like these groups do. And these are the bad groups that are, the big money influence, the PACs. I mean, I can't remember which article it was, but they're saying PACs have already raised $2.1 billion. That's a lot of money. And that was even an old article, so it's probably more by now. And that was just in the first part of, 2025. And it's like, that's a lot of money. And that's more than even like the individual parties have raised. And that's where the big danger is. People, because they don't have to follow certain rules. Not the same as like if I were directly to donate to something, to a campaign. That's what we really need to get rid of, is those type of big money players that just throwing money around and who knows where it goes. It's such a wasteful. That 2.1 billion is gonna you might as well flush it down the toilet. But I mean, that could like fund SNAP, that could fund all kinds of programs, that could do something good rather than just be sitting here in somebody's war chest ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, like it's literally billions of dollars a year is spent on campaigning, and like, what is that? All that is it's advertisement. So we spend billions of dollars advertising these politicians, and like it literally just goes to waste. There's no benefit other than like one side's gonna win over the other side, but both are gonna spend billions. It's absolutely absurd how it's gotten. And the only reason it's gotten in the billions is like because your opponent can raise that much money, now you have to raise that money. So it just keeps like raising the bar of how much money needs to be spent. And then, like you said, super PACs and all these special interests like are pouring in. They have they have less regulations now than ever before. And ultimately they're the ones that are in control, because like either way, Democrat or Republican, they have they get to shape a lot of the legislation that happens. And it's like it's very non-transparent, very like subtle and softly there, but it influences literally every legislative decision that Congress makes. And so, and to your point, like, some people would say, oh, well, the stakes are so high because it's Trump versus not Trump again. And like, so we have to raise more money. It's like, it's always something. There's always some kind of reason, but like, we have to, like, that's just left versus right thinking. But when you think about the true issue of digital politics, people versus power right now, it's not good, because the grassroots candidate, the ones that are not corrupt and not bought out, they can't run for like 2 years before their election begins. It shuts out more and more. It forces that only the most corporate, the ones that can raise millions of dollars from big donors, special interests, those are the ones that are going to be able to win while everyone else gets pulled out. And that is not democratic. That is not democracy. We need to understand that that's bad, and not just say, oh, well, my side needs to win against the other side. Like, no, like, this goes beyond the sides. Both sides are, it's just getting worse. This is destroying representation.
And just think about the intimidation factor. Like, if you're somebody, like, let's say I'm an independent or a Green Party, and I'm sitting here thinking I want to run for something in 2026, and I read these headlines, oh, they've got $40 million ready to spend for 2026. And I'm like, ooh, like, that just tells me I can't even compete. Like, why even start? And that's a big issue too, is that, there's a lot of people who would want to run, who could run, who probably would be great, but they just don't even start because they know it's a battle that they can't win, and they don't want to do that. And I don't necessarily blame them. I wouldn't want to start a war that I know I'm going to lose in the end, and it's probably just going to hurt me more than it hurts them. And no matter what I do to them, they're not going to feel it. Even if I were to win like a primary or something, I would feel great, but they know they're going to swoop in and do what they're going to do, and the media's going to squash you. You're going to get, shit on, and nobody's going to listen to you. So why even try?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I agree with you on that issue, and then the next issue I want to get into is just how they select their candidates ahead of time, before like even the primary. But I want to do a quick reset as well. Just put a note here. So for those tuning in right now, just to give like a little reset. So we're Fink Futures Now Coalition. Right now we're looking to upgrade democracy by building a system that is citizen owned and bring transparency and accountability at the forefront. Right now, it starts with, in a couple weeks, we're going to be launching our digital politics hub, which is our coordination hub. We want to get citizens, movements, journalists, independent journalists, and grassroots candidates under one tool, one platform, to really start moving towards this aligned goal that goes beyond parties, beyond the partisan divides, of just we want to upgrade democracy, build a better, more representative democracy, more direct democracy. So it starts with our coordination hub, the digital politics hub that's launching. And then the next step from there is working towards building digital democracy, which is the final goal of really building a system that totally flips the system upside down. It'll showcase all candidates equally, regardless of how much money they can raise, just all candidates having a chance to be seen. So then it's up to them by their merit and actually being representative, and winning your vote is what brings them to the top, rather than just raising millions of dollars. And just makes it both easier for the politicians. They won't have to spend millions of dollars to be seen, and their campaign would be streamlined. And then also for citizens, you'd be able to see all your choices right up front, and build a better candidate selection process that basically narrows down the selections until it gets to the general election, where by then you'll pretty much be confident in who you want to vote for and their chances of winning, electability, and all that good stuff. So right now you could join us on our website, join our newsletter, so you could get announcements for when our when the Digital Politics Hub launches. And then once they're there, a lot of good tools that are going to come out, where you could keep track of what's going on with digital democracy. You get to input your own voice and oversight of like what we're building, how we're building it, how it's going to get done, and make sure that citizens are in control of it is the biggest thing. So definitely check us out on our site and all that. And also please just like, share, subscribe, follow. We're on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook right now with these podcasts. And we're on other platforms for all our other content. So just getting back in.
I also want to highlight before we move on to there that if you know an organization, a candidate, or just an individual person who would align with Fink or want to join us, please make sure you send us a DM now. You don't have to wait for the hub and for that, that form to be available. We are happy to read a DM or an email, send them our way.
Yeah, because we've been dabbling since we started, like talking to different reform groups and other organizations and journalists and stuff like that. But we're actually moving now into our phase 2, our coordination phase, to really scale up our efforts and really build out this movement of movements.
Because I imagine somebody here who's either wants to be a third party candidate for 2026 or is or knows somebody, connect them with us, because we're going to be growing a lot between now and then, and we would love to connect with you now and see how we can help each other.
Yeah, cool. But yeah, so going back to the topic at hand. So part of the Carrie's point is like the political the campaign season is like already starting way earlier. Every year it gets earlier and earlier, and not only are they like raising like the millions and millions of dollars that it costs these days, but the biggest one of the biggest problems is that they're basically already choosing your candidates before the primary, and that's something that we talk about a lot here. Is that, like, yes, in the general election, you're basically down to like two choices at that point. You probably already know you're either voting for the Democrat or Republican, but it's the primaries is where we really have a chance to get better candidates in office, better Republicans, better Democrats. Um, and so one of the big beefs that we have with the current system and why we talk about it as being rigged is that the DNC and RNC basically they choose the candidates that they want to win, and they basically practically announce them as like the winner before the primary even begins. And then so they have financial bias, that they give more resources and money to those candidates that they want to win. The news portrays them as like the front runner, and like it manipulates our choices. That if you're told that this is the most electable person, they're the best chance to beat the other side, and this is the person, they don't even talk about the other choices. That's manipulative, and that's like a kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, and a manipulation that like kind of they pretend it's up to us as Americans to vote in the primary, but only 10% of us end up voting in the primary, and they like that. They don't want it to increase, and they want to shove their choices down our throats.
Yeah, before you got there, that's where my mind first went. It's that psychological mind fuck. Like they are messing with you, and we know it, but we allow it to happen. We just keep playing along. I mean, there's a reason, like we're called sheep, and that's it's not really a dig. We all are human, and it happens, but we need to stop letting it happen because it's very obvious now. Like before, it was kind of pretty. They tried to not make it as obvious, but now it's just so obvious. News is not news, it's entertainment. They're
Yeah.
playing off your fears.
Yeah. So a lot of what we're doing in our mission is really emphasizing the importance of the primaries. Again, that's really where you get your chance to get better candidates. By the general election, you're already voting for the lesser two evils. If there's not a good primary, a healthy primary, you're gonna it's basically the establishment Democrat pick against the establishment Republican pick, and then we get to vote between the two, and then they pretend that's democracy. No, we need to get more involved in the primary. And I know we talked to thousands of citizens. One of the issues is that it's complicated, especially in the primary. You really don't know the differences of the candidates. You don't know who you want to choose over one over the other. And so again, that goes back to the candidate selection process. So we want to digitize that, modernize it, streamline it, make it easier for average Americans to know who you want to vote for in the primary and then in the general. And because you don't want it to make it your second job. You don't even want, most people wouldn't even be willing to spend hours to do this kind of research. So we want to streamline it. The ultimate goal with digital democracy is that you put in your zip code, you see every single candidate side by side, where they stand, their conflicts, are they going to fulfill their promises or not? How authentic are they? Are they actually going to fight for me? And and then that will increase people voting in the primary, because now like who you might like really like a candidate, really want to see them win, so you're gonna like put the effort in to vote for them, and then carry on into the general election. So our big plans are really just to bring the transparency and empower you to make better decisions based on streamlined information. We're not here to tell you where to decide on policies specifically. We want you to just vote for the candidates that are going to truly represent you, not just give you lip service and then do whatever they want to do in office like they usually do. And so we're going to make it easier with first the coordination hub and then digital democracy, and both bring accountability, transparency, and also a better candidate selection process to just make it like less of an effort to make more of an impact. We want our voices to be heard. Our voices are being are being drowned out by the special interests and the money people. Again, in both parties. Don't pretend it's only one side. It is both parties are doing this. And we need to take action, because the system is crumbling. It's not working for us, for most Americans, at least 85% of Americans. So change needs to happen. No one else has a solution out there of like a genuine change that can actually take place. This is the solution.
A solution with an actual plan and not just slogans like "Make America Great" or "Better Healthcare." Like we have a plan.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah,
just want to be mindful of the time. I do see that, we're getting towards the end of the hour here. So I want to make sure we slip in highlighting Money Out of Politics Cyber Week this week. I know it started Tuesday, the 25th, and it goes to December 2nd. It's an organization that is fighting for something that we're fighting for as well. So always want to make sure we highlight things like this that they do, because whatever they get from here, so I'm hoping they get a lot of people sign up.
yeah. Great point. Yep. So yeah, moneyoutofpolitics.org. It's one of our allies. They're pushing for this boycott right now to really just show citizens being in power and that we're unhappy with the current system. So yeah, the blackout from November 25th till December 2nd. And it's to unite against corruption, corporate greed, and authoritarian control. You can learn more about their website, moneyoutofpolitics.org. Um, Anything else you want to say on that one?
I'll say it's a great opportunity to, collectively vote with your money. Don't buy from organizations that you think are bad. Go buy from a local small organization, or donate to something different. Donate to an organization like Fink that's trying to change this. So you're still putting some money out there, but you're also not, participating in this. And I would love to see and hear from people who actually participated in this, just to see, like, what their thoughts are on it.
Yeah, cool. Definitely keep track of that. It's only a couple organizations they're trying to boycott, things like Amazon, which I know is hard, but like, I mean, Amazon is a very, very selfish company. So there's most people, they shop there, they don't like it. They shop there, but people know that it's bad juju.
Well, it's just another instance where, we kind of do things we know are bad, but it's just easier. And that's where these are good opportunities to just show yourself that you can survive without these people. Like humans and civilization has survived long before Amazon and, big corporations. So take a week and take a week off and go back to the old times.
Yep,
And hopefully it makes an impact.
yep. Cool. But yeah, so as we wrap up, so again, definitely check us out. We're moving into a huge phase, the coordination phase. Pretty much at some point in December it'll be official. And like December going into the new year, Coordination Hub will be launched, which is a huge milestone for us. Really getting you front and center to be able to give your feedback, be part of the building of the next generation of politics, have your own insights, as well as also to learn, how do I assess my own candidates in terms of up versus down, like, to decide, is this candidate for me or for their special interests. The end goal is digital democracy streamlining and giving you a very clear answer on that. But even now, once we have the Coordination Hub on, there'll be checklists and different ways that you could assess it yourself with the current resources that exist today. And then, work our way towards streamlining it in digital democracy. But we have a lot of different lot of cool features that are going to be in this, and just really, the more people dig into what we're doing, it's just very unique, very different from what others are trying to do. We're not just about just protesting and stuff like that. While that there is a place for that kind of stuff, we need more than just that. And so we have a legit strategy moving forward. So literally moving from phase 1 to phase 2, I've been personally working on this as the founder for 3 years, and literally now moving into phase 2 to really scale up our efforts, connecting with citizens, journalists, and political movements, and really including you guys in the conversation and decision making and oversight to build this next stage of democracy. So definitely check us out over the next couple of weeks. It's even now you can check us out, futureis.org. Our socials are all futureis.org, all one word is our handle: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Blue Sky, a lot of different
You can
ones.
find them all on our website,
Yeah,
link there, so you don't have to remember everything. It's easy
yeah,
peasy. So, as long as
yep,
you remember our website, you're good.
yeah. And again, just add your name on the newsletter so that you'll get alerted once the Digital Politics Hub gets launched in a few weeks. That's really, again, the big milestone is when you'll see that. You'll see some new tools and stuff to understand what we're talking about. It's a huge mission. We're just trying to make it as concise as possible, so people can learn it in a streamlined fashion. So that's coming out along with this whole new milestone, as well as working with different guests coming on our show. Lot of good stuff to look forward to. So check us out. We'll also be back next week. We're on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And all our videos are also recorded. You can check them out on YouTube, is where we keep them ongoingly, as well as we have a lot of other clips and stuff on all our socials.
Now that we're on our way to having guests will be scheduled on Thursday or Friday, I think it is, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Um, but yeah, so yeah, a lot of good stuff ahead. So definitely keep track of us. Again, follow, share, like, all that stuff also helps us significantly. We really appreciate that. And yeah,
I was gonna say before we wrap up completely here, I just wanted to say, because you just highlighted how long you've been working on this. So I just wanted to say thank you, Travis, for all the work that you've done to, get all this together and just build this company and this, organization in general. We appreciate it. And hopefully we're successful and we won't stop fighting until we are. But I also wanted to encourage people to come back and let us know how your holiday conversations went. What was the highlight? What was the low light? Did you win? Did you use any of our language? Did you apply the digital politic lens? Did you get anybody to say, that's actually interesting? We would love to hear how that all plays out. And have a great holiday, everybody.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, last point on that. Yeah, go check out our website and consider bringing that to Thanksgiving conversations, because again, everything on our site is, none of it is divisive in a partisan way. None of it is stuff that like initiates a fight. Again, just don't all you have to do is not blame one side and just be more general that it's the whole all leadership, and then everything that we talk about is completely nonpartisan. We have people like Republicans, Democrats, socialists, anarchists, libertarian, all across the aisle. So everyone's a part of this movement of movements. But yeah, so like she said, have a happy Turkey Day. Enjoy your holiday. Let us know how it goes. We're listening on comments and any way you want to message us, DMing, comments, email, whatever. Any way you want to contact us. So yeah, enjoy your days, and we'll see you next week.